Hello and welcome to this energy reading. So, today we are exploring the flow between you and another soul. So, how your energies meet, what you each bring into the connection, and what needs balance for this exchange between you two to feel more harmonious and alive again. So we will explore how your energy moves toward the other and how theirs moves toward you, and then what the universe invites you both to realign so you can return to a natural equilibrium and exchange. So you can choose between three groups. Take a moment to choose, and I will see you at your reading. So hello to those who chose group number 1. So on the left side we have your card, so what you are offering to the other, and we have the Priestess of Wands, Five of Pentacles, Inner Voice, and the Father archetype. So you're offering presence and passion, and also a lot of spiritual depth. So, but this may be happening from a place that has known exile or lack. So the Priestess of Wands shows this radiant force within you, this magnetic, creative, expressive energy, and you are someone who can awaken others. So you bring vitality and courage into the connection, a kind of light, and you may be calling the other to grow, to expand. But then we have this Five of Pentacles card, and this can remind us that beneath this giving and inspiration and beneath this spark, there might be an undercurrent of old pain, the feeling of having once been left out or having been unseen or unsupported. And perhaps you are still struggling with these feelings. So perhaps you're trying to embrace the other and ensure that they will never feel this emptiness that you once felt. So you are someone who inspires, but you also know lack, and you know how it feels to be unsupported and left out in the cold. And then we have this Inner Voice card, which is in fact the High Priestess card. And this is a card of listening and being present right now. So it is asking you to listen to your deep intuition, and we have this strong moon energy. In fact, the High Priestess in Tarot is ruled by the moon, so it's connected to instinct and intuition. And so it is like supporting this Priestess of Wands. So it's giving balance to action. So balancing your action and your inspiration with receptivity and listening. So you have a truly healing capacity and a strong intuition. So you have a very strong understanding and even knowledge about the situation. Perhaps you even know what to tell to the other person. Perhaps you want to teach them something, show them some mysteries, and you have a very deep understanding of their soul as well as your own. But just be sure that all this is truly coming from the place of intuition and not compensation for your inner lack and feelings of being left out. Because we have also this Father archetype card, which again shows that you are someone who wants to naturally protect and guide others or anchor them. But this can, of course, become a control issue or over-giving or over-guiding. And perhaps you need to remind yourself that every soul must walk their own path. And since we have this father figure below the Five of Pentacles showing the lack, perhaps you have suffered a true lack of the father. Maybe you didn't have a father, or you have not a very stable connection with him, and maybe you are inclined to overcompensate to protect the others and give too much in the relationship, or take a dominating role in the sense of guidance and anchoring them and supporting them. So just be aware of these dynamics if this is happening in your connection. So you are someone who is very strong and who can give a lot of guidance, but also balance it with just allowing, just receiving and being receptive to what is happening and to trusting. So you can balance this beautiful masculine energy with the feminine current. So allow yourself to be also in the feminine mood, so you will be able to receive the energy and not only give it. So now let's move to the position of the other. So what the other person is offering to you. So this is like a mirror to your reading, and their cards are on the right side. And they have the Queen of Swords, Two of Swords, playfulness, and the archetype of God. So your energy was very warm and guiding and inspiring, but their energy carries clarity and intellect, and they are balancing control with surrender and playfulness. So the Queen of Swords is someone who is very truthful, who is very mentally clear, and it's also someone who has been through a lot of challenges, and they learned discernment, they learned clarity, they learned how to cope, and they have a certain kind of mental sharpness and honesty. So they don't go into any kind of illusions, but sometimes they may be guarded or even cold and abrupt. Perhaps they may be too harsh with their words or actions. So this may be a person who may find it hard to reveal vulnerability, and they may be very guarded. And perhaps this invokes in you even greater need to guide them and protect them and to show them that this place that you're offering is safe and protected. And then these Two of Swords that we see with this woman holding these two swords covering her heart chakra, this may show that they're at a crossroads within themselves. Maybe they are torn between the heart and the mind, perhaps between the desire to connect and the need to protect their energies. So they may appear distant or even indecisive, but they long for peace and beauty in relationships. The Two of Swords is a card of Moon in Libra. So they need harmony and beauty in relationships, and they want a fair and just connection with someone that feels safe. So there is this deep ocean that we can see in the image in them that wants to open, but at the same time they are very guarded, and they may still seem distant or closed off. And then we have this playfulness card, which is in fact the Page of Wands, and it kind of corresponds with the Priestess of Wands in your position. So you share some similar energies. Perhaps you're connecting through this playfulness and energy and spark. So they have this side that they show when they drop these swords and they allow spontaneity and laughter and lightness, and then you can sense their true warmth that begins to shine through, and this softens this intellectual armor of the Queen of Swords. So they have perhaps a very joyful and humorous side and a kind of wisdom, and this is perhaps something that joins you together, that connects you, and this is the side of them that you see and you want to support and guide and also protect. And very interestingly, we have the God archetype, which in a way resembles the father archetype that we saw in your reading. They both kind of father figures. At least God is seen as a father figure in our Western culture and in other cultures as well. So when we have the God as a father or as a male archetype, it amplifies the spiritual power and authority, vision, magnetism, protection. And well, the shadow side, of course, is control and the desire to lead without allowing freedom. So this person may literally have let's say, a God complex, in a way like, I can do everything by myself and I must hold everything together. And this creates the tension with your father archetype that also wants to protect. So perhaps this is the dynamic between you two, that you both have this strong father God kind of masculine archetype that can clash, and where you mostly want to protect this person, the other person. They want to feel responsible for everything. Like, I'm the center of my universe, in the sense of I can create my life and I do what I have to do and I can do it. And I'm holding my universe together. So don't tell me what to do, this kind of sense. And so you are learning to be more receptive and more feminine, regardless of your sex. You're learning to be more feminine in the energy, because if you see how this is reflected in the cards, the inner voice at your side is in the same position as the playfulness card on their side. So you are bringing out their playfulness and the spark and the joy when you are receptive, when you're quiet. And if you want to protect them or guide them or anchor them or hold them, you are bringing out their God archetype. So be more receptive and trust your inner knowledge about this person. You're probably right. What you feel about them is right. You know your truth is true. You know what is true, and you are in the right. Just don't allow these two energies of Father God's protective kind of leading energy to clash. So this vision and this clarity needs the balance of humility and tenderness and playfulness. And when they let go of this perfection and control, you can meet with them with your intuitive warmth, and then you can relate in equality, and you can relate fully, and they can also drop their guard. So you are both at risk to control rather than allow. So perhaps this is just something to bear in mind. So then we have the position of current exchange of your energies. So what is now currently happening, how you're exchanging energies between you two. And we have the Nine of Cups, Ace of Wands, and then we have intensity and the poet archetype. So we see that the energy between you two is very charged, very emotional, and also very creative. It's like a spark that is searching for its right form. And then we have, in fact, both fulfillment and frustration. We have this joy that wants to expand and the longing that you feel between each other. So Nine of Cups shows a deep emotional bond. It's the wish to feel complete, to find satisfaction in this connection. So it suggests that there is genuine affection and gratitude at the heart of your connection. Both of you sense the potential to be emotionally connected, to experience emotional abundance when you come together. Nine of Cups is a Jupiter card. It's Jupiter in Pisces card. It's a beautiful position, and it shows this longing to spiritually expand, to go beyond your limits, and to truly melt and dive into each other. So this is what is happening in your current exchange now. And then we have this Ace of Wands that shows that this inspiration and this connection is not yet fully grounded. So we have this spark, we have the passion, we have the motivation and the big possibility, but something is still not expressed. Perhaps you are afraid of being too vulnerable, or perhaps this desire to control or to be too dominant is holding you, each of you, in fact, back from letting this flame to fully emerge. Because you can see on the image, we have this ace coming from the sky. So this shows, we have the wand coming from the sky. This shows the potential. It's there. It's coming out of nothing. It's very strong. But still it needs to come to the full completion of the number 9 that we have in the Nine of Cups. And then we have the intensity card, confirming that you have a very strong and powerful energy between you two, which can be almost overwhelming at times. It's a very strong magnetic pull between you two, and you have this impulse to move toward each other, to create something. But also it can be this fire can be too concentrated, so it can burn. Perhaps this leads to some clashes of anger, of deep passion, but also of maybe even conflict at times. Because this connection, this energy between you two is not grounded yet. We also don't see any kind of earthy energy here, any earthly energy. So it's just about reacting and flowing in emotions. So this is a very inspirative process, but it's not yet fully grounded. And of course, the poet archetype is beautifully completes this picture. So this connection between you two is meant to be expressed through words, perhaps through gestures, maybe truly through art. Perhaps you are united through art. Maybe you are artists, and when you meet, there is all this drama and passion and creativity flying around, and you are inspiring each other, but still it can be too dramatic, and then all this passion can turn into too deep of a longing, and you may project your own creative spark and your own desire to be completed onto each other. So we have all this fire and water, which is full of potential of passion and emotion, but it needs a kind of steady rhythm, and it needs awareness. It needs groundedness. Otherwise, your connection can become too tense and too intense, as we also have the card of intensity. And then let's take a look at the energies which are in imbalance. So what is imbalance in your relationship? And we have Ace of Coins, Seven of Cups, the Fool, and the Pioneer archetype. So as we already said, this relationship seems imbalanced because there is this tension between potential and grounding. So between dreaming of what could be and then truly creating it and grounding your vision and your passion. So we have the Ace of Coins, which speaks of tangible opportunity. So there is a seed that is ready to take root in the physical world. And here we have another ace. We had Ace of Wands in the previous position between for the current energy between you two. So there is real potential here. That Ace of Wands is now here Ace of Coins, which is a very earthly energy. So we have the potential for growth and stability, and also to share creation. But this needs consistent care. And if one side remains too much in inspiration or even idealization, and then the other waits for something more solid to form, then this seed cannot truly grow. And we have this Seven of Cups, which confirms that there are perhaps too many dreams and too many emotions flying around, floating in the air, and it can be a very intoxicating relationship. But also a relationship that is lived partly in imagination and in projections, or there is a lot of longing. Perhaps there is a deep feeling of being in love, but this can blur clarity. So the imbalance comes from this confusion about what's real and what's fantasy. And so between this tension between ideal and embodying the relationship. And then we have the Fool card, which can, at some instances, actually mean that you're being foolish. And here, in a way, it goes together with this intensity and passion and Seven of Cups of like being fully and madly in love. But also it says that you need to take the risk and you need to leap into this unknown and to be freed from expectations. So there is the need for both of you to step forward with openness and allowing this relationship to really take form. And we have a lot of fresh beginnings in this reading. We have two aces, and now we have the Zero card, the Fool card. So perhaps you are not truly taking off with this relationship. You're just fantasizing about it, but not truly making tangible steps. And there is this need to protect each other, to heal, to guide. Perhaps one of you is a mentor to each other, or you're learning something from each other. Perhaps you're truly connected through art, but where is the direction in this relationship? So, and this involves taking this step into the unknown to overcome the fear of the unknown, of what it would feel like if you were in a true relationship. Because sometimes it's easier to let it just remain on the 0 point and allow the imagination to roam freely. But now this is the imbalance, and all the passion and the love that you both feel is now being burned and exhausted if you don't nourish the seed, the great potential that in fact exists in this connection. And then we have also this pioneer archetype that really goes together with the message. So again, it is calling you to venture into a new way of relating, to be authentic and not repeat old patterns. Also, the shadow of this archetype is recklessness, or too much impulses and fear of failure. But this is about discovering something new. And again, this may be a connection or relationship between two people who are truly artists or very creative people. And with people who are very creative, embodying things can be extremely difficult. It can tear them apart. They can be torn apart by it because the intensity of the creativity is too much. So if this is the case for you, just bear in mind that maybe sometimes the passion needs to be channeled in something more calm, more natural, more easygoing, and that love and relationship is not only about passion and being in love, being madly in love. This is why perhaps we also saw in the energies of the other person all those cards of distance. Because where we have a lot of passion and a lot of desire and a lot of emotional connection, we always get also a lot of distance because we have to balance it. Otherwise, the passion can burn us. So now it is time to channel this creative passion, this mad love and like mad artist, foolish pioneer mind into something tangible, something more grounded, which exists. We had this Ace of Coins, so a real tangible possibility exists between you two. And then we have the final position, the restoration position. So how to heal this imbalance and restore balance. And we have the Maiden of Cups, the Hierophant card, the Conditioning, and the Virgin archetype. So basically we see that after all this intensity and the dreams and the longing and the passion, the path of restoration is one of innocence and authenticity and also of spiritual integrity. So a kind of returning to the pure essence of love. So the Maiden of Cups, she opens her heart very gently. She brings tenderness and curiosity and also the courage to feel. And she doesn't make demands. She receives and she's open. So it's a kind of call to simplicity and a kind of being like a child. And then the healing can begin naturally. And if we see that with the energies, if we connect that with the energies that you are giving into this connection, where you had the energy of inner voice, which is the High Priestess, and you had the energy of lack, Five of Pentacles, and you had the Father archetype, perhaps the restoration to the balance, to heal this imbalance, is for you to become just more simple, more vulnerable, more open, to become this inner girl, inner child, this maiden that needs to be healed and protected, so that it is not you who is doing all the protection and guiding, but you are allowing yourself to step into this role of gentleness and tenderness, which also goes together with the Virgin card that we have also present in this reading. So to become vulnerable and just start fresh with a fresh, open heart. So then we have this Hierophant card. This is a really beautiful card of grounding, because this is a Taurus card. This is a card of values, returning to what is valuable to you. And of course, this is like a spiritual guide, a mentor, and it renews this wisdom and spiritual order. So there is something that you are both learning from each other. It is not just some kind of random connection. And so you both need to connect with higher values, with respect, with truth, with integrity. You need to show respect to each other. And also you are perhaps truly sharing some kind of spiritual alignment. So this is where you can anchor your energies and make them flow together. Also, the Hierophant, of course, again reflects the Father God archetype that we already had present in this reading. And with this Virgin and Maiden, we have this kind of theme of father girl, father daughter relationship, like one of you is guiding, the other is more receptive and more open to the guidance. So in order to restore your energies, perhaps you need to be more clear about these roles. Perhaps for some of you who chose this group, perhaps you are truly dealing with someone in authority position who you can see as a god, well, not literally, but who holds a kind of authority position over you, or you see them in that way, or they have a kind of authority position in the world. They act like that, or perhaps they have this kind of job or profession. So perhaps there is an age difference that matters, maybe. So be aware of this dynamic. It can be a very attractive dynamic, but also very devastating. We can fall truly and madly in love with someone who has a kind of spiritual authority or artistic authority, or just be or someone who is very versed in something, who is a pioneer, who is a guide, who is a mentor even. But this falling in love can be a little foolish if we don't step and assume our own role of authority, and we don't step into our own power. So, especially with this conditioning card that we also have present, which is in fact the card of the devil in tarot, we can have a certain dynamic of power and control in this relationship. So we have this sheep and a lion among the sheep. So are you the lion who thinks that you are in a sheep? So maybe you have assumed certain roles in society, especially with the Hierophant card. Maybe you are playing certain roles, or you just have certain roles in an institution or just in your connection. And this is something that you need to see and recognize. And perhaps you need to see what you are truly attracted to. Are you attracted to the role that this person is playing? Are you attracted to their power that they have as an artist, as a professional, or as a father figure? And vice versa, of course. Maybe you are the one who is attracting them. But since you had the father archetype and they have the God archetype, if you remember from the first position, maybe they represent a kind of a father figure to you, and you see them as a god, as someone who has a lot of creative power, who is very potent, very inspiring, very, very, perhaps even very, with a lot of authority, with a lot of knowledge. So, how to restore this imbalance is by you being aware of this play of energies, both of you being aware of it. The other person may see in you this beautiful virgin maiden kind of energy, but you are not just a maiden and you are not just a virgin. You are also a lion. So just see this dynamic. It may vary, it depends on who is watching, who is listening to this. So who is the sheep and who is the lion? Or maybe you are enjoying the dynamic of sheep and lion. It can be very attractive. It can be very passionate. But the restoration is in returning to the innocence of just being simply in love, in opening the heart, in healing the heart, and letting go of all these old conditionings and the roles and the past and the masks that stand in the way of who you truly are and who you truly want to love. And of course, the virgin archetype carries this essence of purity. It's about being freed from any manipulation and agendas or fears. So it's about being pure in spirit. So this, to balance your energies, to restore your energies, you need to release the fear of being fully seen. Release the masks, release the roles, and allow the closeness without losing independence, without feeling that you are a sheep who is now depending on a lion. Nobody is a sheep and nobody is a lion. You're both two people with open hearts who want to connect, and to truly connect, we need to allow vulnerability and purity and falling off of the masks. So balance will be restored not through control and not through playing certain roles and assuming certain roles, but through authentic connection. And then all this passion and control and all these projections and confusions will simply fall away and give space to simplicity. So you need simply love from truth and innocence. So if there are any kind of power plays present in this connection, let them drop and just connect with the pure heart, with innocence, and then you will be not power against power, but light meeting light. So I hope this resonated, and I will see you in some next reading. And hello to those who chose group number 2. So here we have the first position of cards. On the left side, we have the cards that represent you and your energies and what you are bringing to the relationship, what you are bringing to the other person. And we have the Priestess of Coins, Seven of Wands, Fighting, and the Warrior archetype. So your energy in this connection is very protective and resilient, and there is a lot of integrity felt in this energy. You come forward as someone who worked hard for self-respect and stability. So this Priestess of Coins embodies somebody who is wise and grounded and patient. And also you are someone who wants to be devoted to real things, to something that is real and true and tangible. And also, when you invest your energy, it's very sincere and very loyal and enduring. And maybe you don't give lightly, you might be slightly guarded or protective of your energies, but when you give, it's very fierce and loyal, and people can count on you. So we have the Seven of Wands, and this is a typical card of standing your ground. So perhaps you feel that you have to defend your boundaries and your truth. So this card often appears when the soul is learning how to hold its space, but without being defensive. So it reminds you that courage is not about resistance. It's more about being present and rooted in your being. This is the Mars in Leo card. So it shows a lot of courage and valor and a lot of determination. But this can be done without defensiveness. So maybe this is something that you might need to consider in this relationship, especially because we also have the Warrior card, and we also have the Fighting card, of course, which literally shows this tension. And we see this person in great tension and in all this armor. So it seems like you are armored in this relationship. You're entering it ready for a battle. And perhaps sometimes there is no need for battle. Maybe this comes from your past experiences where you had to protect your energy. So now it's really hard to relax fully and trust. So the Warrior archetype is again confirming that you are learning how to channel strength with consciousness. So it's not about conquest, it's about compassion. So there is some kind of nobility spirit present here. So you are someone who wants to protect and lead by example. But on the other hand, you can be perhaps holding the line so tightly that there is no space for tenderness and relaxation. So what you are offering in this relationship, therefore, is grounded in your power and loyalty and this fierceness. But also you may need to balance it with softening the defenses. So without struggle. Perhaps the connection that you are in, or the person you're inquiring about, is someone that you need to protect yourself from. And you need to really be very fierce about your boundaries. And you need to be in this warrior and fighting mood. Perhaps you need it in order to protect yourself. If this is the case, of course, be encouraged to stand firm. But if not, maybe you need to see whether your boundaries are perhaps too tight, or perhaps you are too fierce in defending your position. And then we have the group of cards that represent their input, so what the other person is bringing into the relationship. And interestingly, they also have the 7 of Wands card, and then they also have 9 of Pentacles, sorrow, and child eternal archetype. So the other person too is standing on the battleground. Again, we have the 7 of Wands, and this shows this instinct to resist pressure. So they want to hold their position as well, and they want to protect their independence. Perhaps they're fighting for self-worth, and they may project confidence, but in fact, this stance can come from fear of being overpowered or losing autonomy. And then we have this 9 of Pentacles. This is a kind of, it can be a card of pride, being proud of your self-reliance, and they want to be seen as someone who is very capable and accomplished, and perhaps they even are. They may be a person who has accomplished certain things in their life. Perhaps they're also materially well off, but their independence may be sometimes isolating them, and build a kind of protective wall around them. Because you can see this woman in the 9 of Pentacles, that she is protected in her own garden and standing alone with all this wealth. And then deep down we have the sorrow card, which is like below the 7 of Wands. It's kind of showing the deeper layer of the 7 of Wands, and it shows that behind all this independence there may be deep emotional pain and even regret. Perhaps they did something, maybe even to you or to this relationship, that they regret and they feel sorry about. It can be the card of guilt and remorse and thinking through things and just wallowing in sorrow. And also it's a card of introspection. And it shows that this person has known loss, and they have a lot of self-control about themselves, and they're closing their wound with a lot of mind games and mental constructions, because the sorrow card is in fact 9 of Swords, and 9 of Swords in the tarot is the Mars in Gemini card, which means there can be really, really harsh in words and thoughts and whatever is happening in their head. So there is a lot of suffering indicated in this person. And then we have the child eternal archetype, which kind of completes this story, that behind all this self-protection there is this sensitive, hopeful child who still just wants to chase butterflies and enjoy life, and who wants to go back to this innocence. So there is still this soft core in the person, but they've survived some storms, and they are perhaps now also afraid to fully grow up and to accept adult vulnerability, because child vulnerability is something different than adult vulnerability. Adults are supposed to take responsibility for their actions. They're supposed to know and understand their own actions and take responsibility of how they have created the situations for themselves with their choices. So this is what distinguishes the child from the adult, the choice. So this person may be defensive, maybe they have certain accomplishments, but deep down they still want to be this child to be perhaps taken care of, or they want to take life very lightly, and they are not ready to assume the responsibility for the choices in their life that they have taken. So here we have, in fact, a meeting of two warriors, two people who are both strong and both guarded, and they each want to defend their dignity. And now they're both standing with these shields and mistaking perhaps protection for presence and trust. So you are perhaps protecting your integrity by controlling, and they may be more in the withdrawal phase and proving that they're independent. Perhaps they are oriented in some material achievements. And what is beautiful, in fact, that you both share the same heart lesson. You both need to soften and allow the armor to fall. Just a little, just enough to show tenderness and to move freely again. And then we have this, the archetype cards, the warrior on your side and the child eternal on their side. So we have this protector and the soul, which is still learning how to feel safe. So there is this issue of safety between you, and you need to kind of balance both polarities, to remember the play and to remember the courage that is not about protecting yourself, that is not about self-defense. And then we have the second position of the cards, which talk about your current exchange. So what is currently happening in your relationship? And we have Nine of Coins, Ace of Cups, Awareness card, and the Victim archetype. So this connection is about self-sufficiency and also about emotional awakening, becoming aware. So how to love without losing yourself in the relationship, without falling victim of the other or of the relationship dynamic. So with the Nine of Coins, we had this card in the previous position, in the position of the other's energies. And now we see it in the energetic field between you two. So it feels that your field is very mature and independent. You both have your own inner values. And perhaps you've both gone through long journeys of self-reliance. So it seems that you don't want to base your exchange on need, but there is perhaps a battle for recognition and validation. So you see the other person as a mirror of your own self-worth, and of course vice versa. But if we have so much independence and self-reliance, this can sometimes create distance. Perhaps we become hesitant to lean in or to show vulnerability. And then with this Ace of Cups, of course, at the heart of the connection, there is this pure emotional potential for a fresh beginning in love, for forgiveness and renewal. And of course, the Ace of Cups shows that the energy between you wants to flow again. There is something very tender and healing and also spiritual between the two of you. So the Nine of Coins is like this container, and the water from the cup can fill it. So this connection is inviting you, both of your hearts to open and let love lead. Not just as a romance in a romantic way, but in a compassionate way, in almost divine way of learning how to surrender, be vulnerable, and heal and without fear of losing yourself or losing your independence. And then we have, of course, this beautiful awareness card. This is like a bridge. Awareness is the bridge. So, and we see this little face of Buddha-like face coming out of the veil, and it shows that something profound is being unveiled in this relationship. So any illusions are falling away and you are coming to your own truth. So you are both awakening in this relationship from perhaps very destructive patterns. Perhaps you are learning that love is not about proving yourself or validating your self-worth, but it's about surrendering, growing together, and healing. And so also you may be growing more aware of what you truly attract and what you are protecting and why you are protecting. Why the need for so much protection? Perhaps there is a valid need. Perhaps you've gone through very difficult experiences with others or with partners even, or maybe you had a very even violent experiences, both of you, and you have learned how to rely upon yourself to be on your own. But now there is this light of awareness coming where you can discover perhaps a new way of relating, and you can dissolve old patterns, and also you can see each other clearly with awareness and beyond the story, beyond the past that has formed you. And then of course we have the victim archetype that again emphasizes that this relationship, this exchange between you two exposes old wounds of disempowerment. So these are two people who lost their power and ability to protect themselves, perhaps in the past, and now this is resurfacing in your connection. Each of you may have felt unseen or hurt in the past, and now this echoes in the presence. This is still present, this surfaces in your connection, perhaps as a fear of rejection, perhaps as a fear of losing control. And of course, you can gain empowerment, you can become more empowered through awareness, through recognizing that you are no longer trapped, that you have outgrown old stories. So you need to own your emotional truth rather than blaming the other or endlessly defending your freedom. So slowly this new emotional beginning is happening, especially with this beautiful Ace of Cups. You are offered this new cup of love, and it is there for you to take it if you step out of the victim, defender, warrior attitude. And especially with the other person, we had the child card. They may have been very much hurt in their childhood, but still deep down there is the desire to move freely into this innocence of a child who can enjoy life. Still, in order to do that, we must assume the responsibility. We must clearly see our story, and then we can be free from it. And then you too can relate on a completely different level and seize this beautiful cup of love. So this emotional rebirth in the Ace of Cups is possible only when this fierce self-sufficiency, so the Nine of Coins, softens into interdependence. This is not about depending on the other. It's about being interdependent, as we human beings are, and living creatures are interdependent. In fact, everything in the existence is interdependent, and this doesn't mean losing your position or your power. So you are both awakening to these old stories of hurt and learning that vulnerability does not mean weakness. So you're moving from this guarded independence towards conscious love, conscious awareness of what love truly is. And it's very important that you are no longer victims of your past energies. So you consciously, with awareness, create a new emotional frequency. And then we have the next position, which is about the energies which are imbalanced. So what is in imbalance between you two? So here we have a very kind of spiritual and serene and introspective energy, but also it shows that there is a certain kind of emotional detachment or over control that might be blocking the flow of love. So we have the Priestess of Cups, Wheel of Fortune, Turning In, and the Alchemist archetype card. So it looks like there is this swing between emotional depth and emotional withdrawal, between openness and control. So there is a certain controlling of how and when changes happen. So with the Priestess of Cups, it looks like you are both emotionally perceptive and intuitive, and there is a certain compassion present between you two, but you may be holding it inward, as we have this card of Turning In. So this Priestess of Cups doesn't speak so much. She feels, but she doesn't reveal what she feels. And perhaps you're both in kind of a restrained mode, and this can create distance, because we had all that battle cards and the need for validation cards and the desire to protect yourselves. So this imbalance is about how to allow the emotional energy to come through, to shine through and come outward through honest expression, not just silent understanding. And with this Wheel of Fortune, it looks like this relationship is part of a karmic turning point. So the Wheel of Fortune shows a kind of hand of destiny. So there is destiny in motion. And there is the need to change. The Wheel of Fortune demands a change, usually a happy change, even though in the Renaissance tarot, when the tarot was created in the 15th century, the Wheel of Fortune was represented differently from the Wheel of Fortune that we know from the Rider-Waite tarot deck. It was showing that the wheel can go up or the wheel can go down, so that the fortunes change. However, in this classic deck, the Rider-Waite deck, that is the basis for all other or for most of extant tarot decks, the Wheel of Fortune is a Jupiter card, and it shows the desire to move upward towards the Sphinx that we see sitting above the wheel, and we see Apophis, the destructor, falling down, and Anubis, the god, rising. So what is rising is good fortune, and we also see the silhouettes of the four evangelists in the corner. So it's a very complicated card, in fact, in the Rider-Waite, and it shows positive lessons and usually positive changes, turns for the best. So this relationship doesn't move forward. This is the imbalance. It's stuck in the same karmic lesson, and you need to answer certain question, as you need to answer to this sphinx that is sitting above the wheel. And in mythology, if you didn't answer the sphinx question, you died. So you need to answer certain questions about the relationship. You need to find a certain wisdom, and you need to let the life guide you and shift this relationship. So don't overmanage, don't over-control, and allow the change to happen. Because we have also this alchemist card at the end, which is about transforming lead into gold. So your relationship needs to change into gold. There is a potential for something very beautiful here, but you are in a way resisting it because of too much fighting, perhaps of too much struggling or protection, or this ego desire to be validated. So then we have this turning in card, so which is a very beautiful card. It can be a very contemplative card about turning in and being introspective and exploring your feelings, but it can become very isolating. So you need to stay centered but also connected. So perhaps in this relationship you're both experiencing these periods of withdrawal, and where you both just go into your own little worlds, perhaps even with hurt feelings, and trying to heal. And you may both feel victims of each other. So this is a kind of, if we take the Wheel of Fortune as a karmic lesson in a way. So you are changing your fortune with this relationship, but perhaps you are not allowing it because the ego or the need to defend yourself or to prove yourself is too strong. So, and then with the alchemist cards, you may perhaps turn to spirituality, to some spiritual practices or mental practices even, to suppress emotion. Perhaps you are suppressing instead of transforming. So you need to allow the emotions to move, to be shown, to be expressed. Because in the Four of Cups, which is the turning in card, the emotions can be stuck. This is water card in the number 4. So the water is very structured. The number 4 is a very structured card. So you may not allow the natural emotional flow between you two, perhaps because you feel hurt, because you feel that you need to defend yourself, because you feel that the other person wronged you. But this way you're preventing the lead to become gold. So then we come to the final position, which is the position of restoration. So how we can restore the energies, how we can repair the imbalance and make the relationship flow again. And here we have the Star card, Page of Swords, Schizophrenia, which is in fact 2 of Swords, and the Goddess archetype. So the Star card shows us that the healing begins with faith. This is like this inner guidance and inner light after all this emotional turbulence. So hope is returning, new light is coming, and this demands trust. You need to trust your guiding light, your guiding star. Also, this card like cleanses the connection of fear, and it's like an invitation to spiritual renewal. So you are both being guided toward transparency and forgiveness. And also there is one more side to the Star card. One of you, perhaps the female, if there is a female in this relationship, perhaps the lady in the relationship, or one of the ladies, it depends what kind of relationship is. is the star in the relationship. The star card may show a person who sees themselves beyond, let's say, material or earthly, or I can say like in like lower energies. So maybe you need to rise above this mud that you've been like crawling in till now, especially with the goddess archetype that we also have present in this spread, with the feminine power, with the intuitive power, with this sensuality that is indicated in this goddess archetype. So the restoration is about acknowledging your own worth, being the star of your own show, if you want. The star card can mean go beyond the lower energies. So you just need to rise above certain issues and problems and see the star and see your relationship shine like a star. Or maybe one of you, perhaps the female or one of the females, or even perhaps a male who has more female-like qualities, maybe you need to shine more, or you need to become a star of your own life, of your own show, of your own project, or feel like a star in this relationship. So you need to rise into this higher vibration in whatever form. Maybe you as a person, maybe the other person, maybe the relationship as a whole. You just need to go higher into softer, more luminous and truthful energy. And how to do that is with Page of Swords, which is about communication. Before we had this Priestess of Cups, which kind of resembles perhaps the Page of Cups, and it was in the imbalance position, so holding the feelings inside, feeling but not expressing. But here we have the Page of Swords who is expressing, and it also brings honesty and new mental patterns, a willingness to speak and perhaps speak differently, or to listen without defensiveness. So maybe you had these periods of silence or misinterpretation. So now you're invited to some gentle and truthful dialogue. Page of Swords may also literally mean that if you have been expecting some communication or message from this person, or just in general the communication to resume, it will resume. So with the Page of Swords, of course, we need to be careful, because with swords we can, of course, cut through illusion and also wound the other. So use your words wisely. Don't wound, but elevate also your words. Elevate them to the star level. You just need to go higher, consciously, with awareness, with conscious decision, to drop the battle, to drop the fighting, to drop the defensiveness, and just see the higher potential in both of you. And then we have this schizophrenia card. This is in fact the Two of Swords. And this is about this tension of indecision, being torn between head and heart, logic and intuition, between yes and no. So you are like perhaps deciding whether to keep this connection or not keep this connection, whether to stay together or not stay together. So don't overthink and trust your own inner energy. So don't try to figure it out, and don't get caught in constant analyzing, which can happen with the Page of Swords as well. And the Page of Swords can really swing that sword very fiercely and very forcefully and hurt the other. So the Two of Swords, which is in fact the card of peace, may also simply say, stay in the moment of peace. Don't swing the sword. Perhaps there is not time yet to truly decide what to do with the relationship. It's okay. You will be torn. It's okay. Life is about being torn. We are all, in a way, nailed to a cross and waiting to die or to be taken down. It's a kind of part of human experience. So don't try to figure it out. Perhaps you don't have all the answers yet. And don't control. Let the connection develop in its own time, with its own alchemy. Let the lead become gold. It needs time, it needs trust, it needs new experiences. So you need to be more into the allowing phase and not into figuring it out phase. And especially you need to go beyond the human battle and the power trip and the need for validation and all these ego trips of control and being seen and confirmed. So this is what you need to heal. This victim mentality, or perhaps old wounds, old battles. Now this is teaching you to go beyond it and see the light which shines higher. So go to a higher vibration of love and relationships. And especially with the goddess, we have this self-worth aspect and beauty. So we have the wisdom and sensuality and creativity. It may mean that you could connect sensually, that means physically. Maybe you need to restore your faith into your own sensuality, into your own body image, into your own self-worth. Because this relationship may have wounded your self-worth and self-image for both of you. So you need to be aware that these are the wounds that you've been carrying from other past experiences, not only from this relationship. So don't put the blame only on the other, but see how you have perhaps been creating such situations, or you have been indeed victim of such situations, and now it is time for you to value yourself, to be aware of your self-worth. And this may literally be like taking care of your body, enjoying good food, enjoying life, enjoying little pleasures. And don't try to figure things out. Let the relationship play itself. Because the relationship is a kind of the third entity. There is you and there is the other, and then there is the relationship. And it has its own mind in a way, because it's not under your control, not as much as you think. It depends on the unconscious, on the subconscious patterns that we are not aware of. So anyway, let it be, let it flow, but also don't protect yourself too much and don't go into these distances and withdrawals. Connect with beautiful things. Go see an art exhibition, listen to good music, something that will take your mind off this constant battle for validation. If you've been waiting for some messages, they are coming, and try to see them in a higher level, in the higher light. Don't fall back into this mud of fight and battle and defensiveness. So I hope this reading resonated. I wish you good luck and see you in some next reading. Hello to those who chose the group number 3. So first we are taking a look at your energies and their energies. So what you are both bringing into the relationship. So on the left side we have your cards, and we have the Sorceress. This is in fact the Magician card. Then we have the Seven of Swords, Ripeness, and Femme Fatale archetype. So you come into this connection as a creator. and you are revealing some hidden truths. So the sorceress, this is in fact the magician card, which is presented here with a woman in the female form. She shows your ability to manifest things, to transform energy. And also it shows that you have a lot of intention and depth. So the magician card is connected with the Mercury planet, which was the energy that was joining or realigning many different worlds. So Mercury, or Hermes, was the only hero from the mythology that was able and was allowed to move between different worlds, from the underground to the earthly realm and all the way up to the Olympic. So you have the capacity to understand many layers. You have the capacity to connect many worlds. So you have deep understanding of how these dynamics of your relationship works on spiritual and emotional levels. And you also have the power to initiate change. So you are, in a way, more powerful in this connection. You have more energy to spark a change or transformation, or just to spark a new fire. But then we also have the Seven of Swords, and then this card shows a shadow of strategy. Perhaps you are a strategic person. Perhaps you learned how to protect your heart. You know how to read the situations carefully, and then you anticipate the outcomes. And perhaps you are not disclosing your full truth. So the other person has to earn your trust. So there is a kind of psychic defense mechanism going on here with you, and you may keep your cards close to your chest. Perhaps you have been betrayed in the past. Perhaps you fear betrayal, or maybe you already have been betrayed by this person. So you are very discerning and using your intelligence. And on the other hand, you may feel like maybe there's this feeling like, oh, nothing will come out of this. I can make all the efforts, and I can make it, and I can talk, and I can bring all the intention, but well, it won't happen, because the Seven of Swords is also the card of futile mind, of the mind that is just empty, in the sense of being beyond possibilities. Like whatever you sense, whatever you feel, you have this feeling that it won't come to fruition because it's too far away, or it's too impossible, or there is just not enough trust. So in spite of you having all this power to create and deep intentions and also desires, there is a sense of futility in you, and a sense of strategic experiencing, strategic planning. And perhaps you are being very careful of how much you reveal to the other person, or you just simply fear that you will be betrayed. So there is a kind of mistrust in your energy. And then this sorceress card is, in a way, backed up with the ripeness card. We have the ripeness, which is in fact Nine of Pentacles. And this shows that you are ready to share and express love and your truth. So you are a ripe and mature person. You're very powerful. You're a strong person. Perhaps you're also materially well off, or just very independent. And you have reached a certain level of inner maturity. And so you have this ripe fruit. You can see them in the image. They are ready to be enjoyed. They are ready to be shared. And if you don't share them, that would only lead to decay. So it's time to reveal what you truly feel with confidence and not fearing betrayal or mistrusting. So not playing any games or keeping your heart closed. The Seven of Swords that we saw is also a card that can show partial manifestation or partial success. It's like maybe you are showing just some parts of yourself and some parts you are keeping hidden. You are not disclosing fully what you feel and what you can offer. And of course, this goes perfectly together with the femme fatale archetype. This is your magnetic power. This is the sensuality and the confidence of the woman who can draw others toward her. And of course, as a shadow aspect, it can use emotional influence as control. So, femme fatale, what is a femme fatale? Actually, it's not just an attractive woman. Femme fatale is a woman who is not giving herself fully, who is, at least on the surface, being cold and calculating. So, and of course, she appears in the other person's life as this fatal encounter who can drag or allure the other and invoke a change in them. So whatever you're doing in this relationship, you are provoking a deep change in the other. But femme fatale is not a very transparent woman. So she can play games. She can be extremely manipulative, usually by creating distances or not fully disclosing herself. So what we see here is a very mature woman, a very mature person. Even a man can behave like that, of course. And by creating this magnetic pull and then withdrawing her energy, this is the key. Femme fatale withdraws her energy and therefore really ignites the fire in the other. And this is just the law. If somebody withdraws the energy, we are pulled towards them even harder. So there may be this kind of energy at play here, and this comes from some deep mistrust or just being extremely careful and strategic in this connection. So in this way, you are shielding yourself from genuine emotional sharing and vulnerability. And then we have their energy, so the other person, and we have the Queen of Cups, the Sun card, understanding, and Scribe archetype. So this energy is very emotional and radiant, and there is clarity. So where in the position of your energy, in the position of the Seven of Swords, at the same position now, in the position of the other, at the same position we have the Sun energy, which is all about mental clarity and having gone through the night of the soul. So this is a more optimistic and more communicative spread. It's a spread that wants to communicate the truth. So it seems that this other person is more ready to connect and to show more optimism and empathy even in this connection. So the Queen of Cups, of course, shows that they are led from their heart. It's about deeply emotional and intimate energy. And also it can be very moody. They can ebb and flow like tides. Maybe sometimes they're giving a lot. And on the other hand, they can be very shy and also very protective. And they are not always very expressive because the Queen is the receptive energy. So they want to be on the receiving end. And also they know how to listen, and they know how to be compassionate, and they know how to relinquish control and just flow with the energies. The Queen of Cups can also show that they deeply, deeply care for you. They are in love with you. Regardless of whether you are male, female, whatever the sex, it doesn't matter. Queen of Cups is a beloved. And so this shows that they truly love you. They are in love with you. And with the Sun also is in a way a card of love because it pertains to the heart. So the heart is ruled by the Sun, and it's about this joyful intimacy, expressive intimacy, life-affirming intimacy. So this other person, they want light and joy and clarity, and they want to bring in warmth and openness. And so they are, in a way, complementing your more subtle and more restrained energies. And then we have the understanding, and this adds this spiritual tone of awakening. So we see this bird flying or being ready to fly out from the cage. So perhaps this person has some issues of guilt or self-imposed cages and mental patterns. And now they're getting ready to allow this emotional truth to be revealed. So their heart is opening, and they want to be really transparent and forgiving. So they are ready to share their love and intimacy and feelings with you, even though they may still fear what this next step would bring or entail, especially because maybe you have not shown yourself to be really that open to them. Maybe you have been very attractive. Maybe you have shown interest and intention, but perhaps you have not been, as we saw in your set of cards, maybe you have not been so emotionally transparent. So this other person is now a little fearful to be completely transparent and open, but they do want to be, and they're getting ready to spread their wings and get out of the cage. Since we have the cage element, maybe this person is indeed locked in a certain situation. Maybe for some of you, they are bound together with some other person. Maybe there is another relationship in their life, and they need to learn how to get out from the cage. And therefore we had the Seven of Swords on your side, because you both need to have this strategic plan how to conduct this relationship and how to behave. Maybe this is a secret affair or a secret relationship. So whatever the case, this person seems to be getting ready to open this cage and be free to share the love with you openly and transparently. And then we have this scribe archetype, which is all about truth-telling and, of course, communication. And this may be that they need to sign some papers. Maybe they need to sign some legal documents. Maybe they need to divorce. Whatever the case, they are ready to set the records straight and be truthful. And so they, especially with the Sun card, they want to come out and reveal perhaps your relationship or the connection they have with you. So in any case, your energies, what you're bringing, is a certain kind of need for clarity and truth and openness, where you are more guarded, and they are getting more ready to step out of these limitations. So then we move to the second position, and the cards are Queen of Wands, Five of Wands, Possibilities, and the Rebel archetype. So the Queen of Wands, of course, shows a lot of charisma and inspiration and confidence. Again, it reflects this sorceress energy that we saw in the first position, and this is all about being in your personal power and showing your energy, expressing your energy. And of course, this also reflects there is a lot of passion and attraction between you two. And also, in some instances, the Queen of Wands can represent the other woman. It's not necessarily so, but it can be the other woman. So again, there is a hint of this being perhaps an affair, or maybe you are the other woman, or the other person is the other woman or man or whatever, which is perfectly fine. There is no judgment here. This is just the dynamics of the situation. And with the Five of Wands that comes next, we have this competition element. So this again stresses this possibility of you being in a kind of triangle, or being in a situation where you are not the only person in the life of your significant other. And of course, with the Possibilities card, again, we have that maybe you are one of the options, or this person is one of the options for you. And with Five of Wands, this is a kind of dance, because these lads holding these sticks in the image, they're not truly fighting. They're like in a kind of a friction, but still there is this tension, perhaps difference in opinions or testing of boundaries, and none of you wants to really yield your position. So it's not that you are hostile to each other, it's like a dance of egos, and there is a certain kind of stimulative energy in this conflict. So maybe you have fights with this person, maybe you fight with them, maybe you fight also because you are not the only person in their life, or they are not the only person in your life. So there is an element of competition and introducing new people into your connection. And then, of course, we have this eagle in the Two of Fire or Two of Wands in the Possibilities card, which shows this higher perspective to rise above argument and seeing the bigger picture. So when you observe this battle of the Five of Wands from the eagle's view, perhaps you see that you are reaching for the same purpose, and you both want to be fulfilled, and you want to expand your connection. So maybe there is this element of fighting in your connection on who is right and who should win. And the eagle is saying, look, you both have the same horizon. You share the horizon, so stop fighting. As I said, the Queen of Wands can reflect other person in your life, not necessarily so, but it can also reflect just a different situation, that some situation is infringing on your territory. Maybe it's the job, maybe it's some creative endeavor that is creating the tension between you two, so that you are not truly alone in this connection. So it's not just about you two. There are other elements that are interfering, whether it be another person or just maybe a coworker, a demanding job, or just, a lot of travel or business opportunities, whatever. So this can create struggle between you two. So it's very important to see this higher horizon, or to look at the horizon from this higher perspective, to have the perspective of an eagle. So fly high and see the common purpose that you have. And then we have this archetype of the rebel. He is the liberator. And again, this is about truth and truth coming out. And both of you are breaking old conditioning. So this relationship that you have may not be very traditional. Maybe you have a very unique relationship where you are breaking the conventional roles or expectations of what a relationship should be. So this is a kind of an extreme situation. So, of course, both of you are people who want to be perhaps who want to follow their own path, who want to be their own person, and this creates fights between you two. Also, both of you may have other engagements in your lives. Not necessarily other people, even though that is possible, but you may have just different creative engagements. And this is infringing on the intimacy and creating tension. So a rebel, what are you rebelling against? What kind of conventions do you want to break? Maybe you are both people on whom many limitations were imposed. You are breaking from that cage of how you should be, how you should behave. Especially the other person is breaking from a cage of imposed limitations. And you are this femme fatale who is inviting them and inciting them into a new way of life. So you need to break free, and this demands courage. And since you are both meeting this rebel archetype, this can provoke a lot of heated arguments and fights between you two. But remember, this is coming from the space of wanting to be authentic, of wanting to live a creative life. And you both want that. And this, in some ways, can destroy intimacy, because you still want to be very strongly your own person. And this goes for both of you. Even though this other person is very much in love with you. You are their beloved, and they would do anything for this love. So you can trust that. No need to be strategic. No need to play any games or be manipulative. You can trust them. But still, two stubborn egos. In a good sense, two eagles flying high and wanting to have a good perspective, a broad perspective of their territories. So you need to discover how to align your territories without fight, without conflict. And now we come to the position of what is imbalanced. So where is the imbalance? So what needs to be balanced? And we have the cards of the Empress, the Eight of Swords, Totality, this is Five of Fire, and the Mentor archetype. So at the core, there is this immense creative and emotional potential in the Empress card. This is all about love and beauty and the desire to nurture. This is the Venus card, very feminine. So there is a very generous, fertile energy between you two that can really grow and really become abundant. But perhaps, since we are talking about imbalanced energies, she can show perhaps there is too much desire to mother. Perhaps there is one person is giving too much of mothering energy or trying to hold everything together. Maybe there is a real issue with motherhood. Or maybe one person needs a lot of mothering. And so this may be the issue that perhaps one of you is feeling trapped with this role of the Empress, of the mother, since we have the Eight of Swords right next to her. So the Eight of Swords can really show being stuck and being closed inside these walls, fears, guilt, or self-doubt. And so someone in this connection may simply feel completely trapped. And the message is that you need to release the victim mentality, because the Eight of Swords can be a lot about feeling like the victim. So now I am trapped in this relationship. Perhaps you feel trapped in the mother role, or perhaps you need to mother the other, or you feel like the other wants too much mothering, or you feel that you are not being mothered enough. Or maybe you feel you're not being taken care of, or that you need to take care too much of the other, and this is creating a cage in your life, and you may fear that you will lose your independence, or that you may not be able to enjoy life. So there is this need of freedom from this role of mothering. So again, the female energy in this connection, if you are a man and a woman, so the woman's connection, or the person who identifies more as a woman, or who carries more of a female energy, may be very strong in this connection, and may have a great appeal and attraction, and be very attractive to the other. And the woman may feel extremely trapped in this relationship. If you are a mother, if you have children, maybe you feel trapped in the role of a parent. Or maybe you just feel that you need to hold everything together, and this is creating this restriction in you. So don't give into this victim mentality, like, why am I in this situation? How to get out? We have the totality card next to it. That's very interesting, because the totality card is in fact 5 of fire, which is in fact 5 of wands, which we had in the previous position. Again, a card of conflict. But here it takes a little different tone. It's about presence, being here, being total. So maybe you feel completely and totally consumed by this relationship, especially by this mothering role or caretaking role. Maybe you need to take care of the other too much, and you feel there is not enough space for you, and you feel like you need to be completely present all the time. And so that requires of you to just go with the flow, step by step, and be present in each step of the way. So embrace the present moment and allow the energy to move without hesitation. So don't block the energy, especially not with the victim mentality of why do I have to take care of everything. Now a lot is demanded from someone in your connection, probably from you, probably from the female. Maybe you are concerned with taking care of the other person and also of your children, perhaps of your parents, or, so a lot is demanded from you. And this is the imbalance. One of you is giving too much, is taking care of things of the other too much, and therefore feels trapped and restricted. And then we have the mentor archetype card, which in fact shows again, if you see it on the picture, the mentor holding his protege, or almost like a young person in embrace. And so this is about passing the wisdom to your student. So this, if we talk about imbalance, this may be about perhaps imposing too much guidance or over-identifying yourself as a teacher or someone who knows how to do things. Maybe you are somebody who truly is a teacher, maybe you teach, maybe you are truly a mentor, and this card now, this archetype, is in the position of imbalance. So don't feel like all the burden of teaching and guiding is on your shoulders. Don't over-identify with the teacher archetype. So you may be playing the role of the one who knows. So I know how things should be, or I know how things are done. And then this makes the other feel small and dependent and even humiliated. So perhaps you also are learning something from the other. So you need to balance this, what and who is learning what from whom. You're both learning, and you are learning something from this connection, even if you feel overburdened with perhaps this mothering or caretaker role. You are still learning something. Perhaps you are learning how to be a better teacher. Perhaps you are learning humility. Since we had very strong cards for your position, we had Femme Fatale, we had the Sorceress, we had Queen of Wands, very strong cards. So you are a person with a lot of intelligence, with a lot of inner strength and power. You are a sorceress, but balance it with humility and compassion. Don't be a know-all, because it will hurt in the end, not just the other person, but you. So just allow yourself to be in the I don't know what to do position, or just allow things to happen. Just be present. This is the totality card. Just be present, just be there. That's enough. You don't have to guide, you don't have to teach, you don't have to find solutions. Things will happen on their own accord. Other people will find their way on their own accord. You just stay present in the moment and just follow the steps. Be present for yourself. Don't be in the victim. That's very important. Just stay present. And then things will just start to balance. Sometimes when we let go and just stop fretting about things and observing and just accept even that this is the way things are in this moment, then suddenly all the knots are just released. So don't be perhaps too much of a guide and a mentor and a caretaker. Just relax. You don't have to figure everything out. And just trust the process. And then we come to the restoration position. This is how the balance can be restored, how the relationship can be balanced again, healed, and just simply back on track. And we have the cards of King of Cups, Five of Swords, Control, and the Mother archetype. So with the King of Cups, of course, this is a card of emotional wisdom. He's a very emotionally steady person. He feels deeply, but he doesn't drown in emotions. So this card is all about this calm presence and maturity. So to be in love and to hold love without the need to prove anything. And it's very interesting because we started with the with the Queen of Cups for the other person, and now we have the King of Cups. So perhaps this other person is stepping up. Maybe that Queen of Cups at the beginning was showing that they were the ones who wanted to be in the role of being nurtured, and now they are entering the role of giving energy. They're going from the Queen to the King, and the King as a male principle is about asserting a certain power over emotions, and he is a protector. If the Queen of Cups is a caretaker, the King of Cups is a protector. So what needs to be restored is this protective male energy. So the male energy in this connection needs to step up, because the female energy is too strong, overburdened, perhaps giving too much, perhaps knowing too much, perhaps even wanting to control and dominate because she's so perceptive. But now it's the time for the male energy to step up with this King of Cups and show emotional maturity and to be present and to be there and to show love and protect the ones he loves. And then we have another fight card. So in the current energy position, we had the five of Wands, and here in the restoration position, we have Five of Swords. So there is a lot of fighting happening in this connection. You may be fighting a lot, and you need to lay down your swords. You need to resolve these misunderstandings and tensions, and this all kind of power struggles, and perhaps there is this unspoken competition. Both Five of Wands and Five of Swords can be about who is going to have power over whom, or who is more important, who is more validated, whose job is more important, whose creativity is more important, whose mind is more important. So this is something that is still present, and you need to lay down the swords and recognizing that there is no true victory in being right. So the winning in a relationship is about mutual respect and peace, not about winning an argument. So you may be both people who want to win the arguments. Again, it looks like two strong egos, like an ego clash. And so be aware of that for your restoration. To get your relationship back on track, you need to be aware that you have strong egos, and both of you want to be right, and both of you want to be the mentor, the teacher, the leader. I will tell you how things are done. Perhaps this is the dynamic. It's possible. So if this is the case, just drop it. This is not the way to nurture love. So respect each other and seek peace, and not the position of being in the right. And then, of course, with the Control card, which is in fact the Queen of Swords, of course, this is, we can see this figure all completely in this kind of rectangular shape with sharp edges, and this is her mask. She's afraid to lose control. She's afraid to lose her ground. What if I lose my face? What if I lose my truth? But control kills spontaneity. So, and this also shows that there are a lot of rigid structures in your relationship. And we had that rebel card for your energies. So, you need to push through these rigid structures. You may both be too rigid sometimes and don't align with the flow. Maybe you are too much sticking to your own guns. No, I'm not letting go of my truth, because then I will betray myself. But that's not true. That's not true, because this control card, in fact, is, I think this is the King of Swords, not the Queen of Swords, in fact. Well, they are similar. But interestingly, we have two male archetypes here, the King of Cups and the King of Swords in the control card. So the male part, again, the male in the relationship, the male energy, needs to stop controlling things. Perhaps the male in the relationship has a certain position of power, and therefore they think they can lead and dominate and have power in the relationship, in the personal relationship as well. Or maybe they are struggling to control their own life. There is something that you need to put in order in your life, because the King of Swords is a very high energy. He may be an official person. Maybe you're dealing with some official problems. And when we began the reading, in the position of the other person, we had the scribe archetype. So maybe your person is someone who is indeed a professional dealing with papers, documents, perhaps a lawyer, a judge, a doctor, so anything in those lines. And this obviously has a great impact on your connection. And therefore the female doesn't trust him and is holding back her emotions. And then you just fight. And you fight over control and over who is right about things. So it's a complex situation. This is not a very easy relationship that we are looking at. Let's say, official things, business things, professional issues will still raise their heads. This is not something that you can just drop, because they are just too ingrained and too important. But still try to relax and not hold things too tight. The point is to have your position, perhaps even long for a position of power in a professional sense, but loosen your grip in the domestic situation. This is the restoration process. Know when to soften your grip and let go of control. The home is not a business place. So don't behave like you are in a place of business. Behave like you are in a place of, well, mother, which is the archetype that we are meeting here. Very interestingly, we have the mother archetype because we had the Empress card in the previous position, which was shown in the position of imbalance, and now the mother archetype is bringing the message of restoration and of healing. So bring love back into the picture, love that gives support, and love that is not overprotective or dependent, but it's about patience and care. It may be that one of you does indeed have issues with their mother or motherhood. This issue is raising its head, especially because we started with the femme fatale and the sorceress, and then we met the archetype of the empress and the mother. This may be the conflict that the female has in this connection, how to align this energy. I am this Queen of Wands, I'm the femme fatale, I'm an attractive, intelligent, creative woman. At the same time, I want to be a mother. So how to reconcile this? And since we have the mother card coming in the position of restoration, this is the key. Being the mother, enjoying the motherhood, perhaps literally with your own child, or mothering yourself and the other person. This is the key to restoration. So the male has to be less businesslike, or he has to make certain business decisions. Maybe he needs to tell the truth. Maybe he needs to tell maybe he has to sign the divorce papers. Maybe he needs to find a new position at the job, and this will bring him back the position of dignity. So the male needs to step into the male role of decisiveness and leadership, and the female in the relationship needs to balance this femme fatale energy with mothering and enjoying mothering, even though perhaps she doesn't have a good relationship with her own mother, or she doesn't want to mother the other, but this is a kind of demand on her right now. She may feel victimized by it, but don't feel victimized by this role. This is something that was chosen for you in this life, to mother and enjoy motherhood. And by mothering yourself and mothering the other, you are restoring balance. You are calming down the male's harsher, more brutal energy. And you're also developing your own love for yourself, your own capacity to take care of yourself. So, quite a strong couple we have here. They love each other, especially your other person that you are inquiring about, that you have in mind, that you asked the question about, really, really loves you. But they are struggling with their male role. And they need to step up, and they will step up, and they need to resolve these issues, tell the truth, confront the truth, choose some kind of business decision, I don't know, sign a divorce papers, whatever. They need to face that, and they will, because we have these two strong king energies in the end. So they are becoming kings, and you need to let go of the victim mentality. I'm trapped. Nobody takes care of me. I have to take care of everybody, blah, blah, blah. So drop it, because this is your maturing. This is your growing up. And also don't play too much into the role of seduction, attraction, femme fatalism. Just relax into this soft feminine mother role, and you will heal something very, very profound in your psyche. And then you will be able to drop the sticks and the swords that you have been using against each other in this relationship, and drop the fight. So it's a complex situation, but it can bring about very beautiful healing for both of you, and a very, very dynamic and passionate and very creative relationship. So I hope you both will continue to enjoy it with awareness, with love, with compassion, and I wish you good luck.